Hi, I'm Marc Sumner, CEO and founder of Robertson Sumner. Welcome to the Channel Chat podcast, where we will share learnings, best practices and failures with some of the biggest names in the IT industry, all with the simple aim of being the go-to place for IT sales professionals and managers to learn from others with the ultimate goal of maximising performance and growing the channel. Hello, it's Marc Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and I'm privileged to be in the room with Andy Turner.
Afternoon.
How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Good to see you, Marc.
Andy, so obviously people that don't know you, hope you can just introduce yourself and your company, and then I'll ask you a few questions and we'll kick off.
Yeah, certainly. So, Andy Turner, as Marc said, I run a business called Fastlane, IT education and consultancy, global business, specialising in internet working and all the adjacencies around internet working, and now obviously in the cloud space especially, running skill programs in education, coaching and mentoring, working with all the major IT vendors in that space. Yeah, I look after the UK, Ireland and the Nordics as part of the global group.
Great. And Andy, how did you first get into sales? So kick me off with your career. How did you start?
Wow. Okay.
Way back when.
Way back when. So my career, I'm a bit of a weird creature. Funny enough, I don't like to talk about this really. I did start as an engineer, so I am a techie at heart. Fell in love with electronics at an early age. My uncle ran a TV repair shop. I used to spend the summers with my uncle and aunt, and got fascinated with the way this guy could take the back of a TV with a soldering iron, tune a few things, change a few resistors, capacitors, or whatever, and this thing would work again. So
wow.
Fell in love with electronics, went to university, studied electronics degree. By the time I graduated, because I was on a fin sandwich course with the Phillips electronics group, and doing that fin sandwich course, I spent 6 months working with Phillips and 6 months then back at university. Phillips moved me around the business, so I saw manufacturing, I saw the sales side of the business as well, the development and research labs. And I promise you, Marc, by the day I took my final exams, I didn't want to be an engineer anymore.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah. Loved it, loved doing my degree. Went with the ambition to design little black boxes with Andy's name on. But by the time I graduated, having seen what a business is about, I wanted to get more involved with what I call being on the bridge of the ship rather than in the engine room. And
what put you off for that? What put you off going into engineering? Just because your experience with that?
I think as much as I loved studying electronics, spending time in research and development labs and seeing the speed of how things happen, and let me give you a good example. This is years ago now, so the people are all innocent. When someone sits there with an oscilloscope and they're perfecting, a circuitry to make certain that the soldering iron in their coffee is optimum temperature, as part of their day job, and you think, this is not really what I wanted to come into. So I thought, do you know what? It's not exciting enough. I don't want to be a brain at a desk, which is, I'm not saying that's true nowadays, and my career spanned, best part 30 odd years. But 30 odd years ago, there was that environment where you became a brain at a desk, and I guess my personality, lent itself to maybe not just being in that environment. So, loved studying the degree, but wanted to get more involved with the business. So I said to Phillips on graduating, who has spent a lot of money, in the good old days, this is back in the 80s, sponsored me through my degree. I'll stay with you, but I want to go into a more business environment. So I then went into engineering management, initially running technical teams, supporting manufacturing floors, and doing technology transfer projects over to India and over to Denmark. So I spent a bit of time living abroad. And the more I did those technology projects, I started working with the commercial teams. And then I fell in love with sales. Because the more I worked with the commercial teams, I thought that's where I want to be. I really now want to be out there, understanding what the market wants, what customer needs are, and talking to real customers, and it excited me. So that was the start of my sales career.
So, and that was with Phillips. So how long did you stay with Phillips for in that role?
So I stayed 8 years. I looked after Western Europe initially, and then I looked after Eastern Europe and Middle East. So I spent my life living on planes, flying to either agents or distributors or end clients around the beautiful part of Eastern Europe. This is sort of, around about the early 90s, where that was, breaking away from the communist rule, and all these countries becoming independent. So I started seeing beautiful places like Romania at the birth of, coming out of a dictatorship, spending time there, and working with real customers. I'm working with some great ones. I mentioned Romania. My best deal was with a service provider in Romania, working with Coca-Cola. And we did a data product promotion where if you drank a load of Coke that summer in Bucharest, after rotting your teeth and 20 bottles later, you got a little, you might not know this, Mark, now, but a pager, which was a data device before SMS on GSM or on mobile phones, where you could communicate by just sending a text message to someone. So for 20 bottles of Coke in Bucharest, that summer, Queen promotion for them, you'd end up with a sexy little black box and walk around being trendy, And I loved it. I just loved doing 6 months of my life doing that sale. Just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I've spent my life pretty much in sales ever since.
Okay, so let's move on from that career then. What did you do next?
So I got to a point, I guess, and with a big vendor, you're always a small cog in a big machine. And the more senior you get, you see the politics, and you see a lot of the big machine dictates what can happen, and the approval levels get harder and harder, because obviously the more senior you get, the more budget you have to play with. And I had an opportunity to stay with Phillips, and I could have relocated myself and my family, either to Oslo or to Paris, and still live this crazy lifestyle of traveling the world at their expense. But recognize that you can't be an entrepreneur, because you have this big process-driven vendor machine. And Philips at that time, a world leader, in electronics, in many areas of lighting or semiconductor. I felt weren't entrepreneurial enough for my liking. So I'll tell you how it happened. I was presenting a conference with a colleague of mine who lived in Holland. This was in Amsterdam. And Frank said to me, he said, "How's the little one?" And I said, "He's 25 days old, and I've missed half his life already." Because I'd been traveling, most of that 25 days since his birth, and that's the day I decided to resign. I wanted out. I didn't want to be part of this crazy, lifestyle anymore. In a company, I felt, well, I want something a little bit more entrepreneurial,
bit agile, more agile. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And where did the opportunity present itself then?
Well, ironically, all I wanted to do was go and join a small, medium type of business. I didn't want to go back into another vendor. I could easily have gone to the competition at the time because I was very attractive, in terms of having the experience I had with the Phillips Group, who was a good name in the industry. But I didn't. So I did a really crazy thing that I responded to a Sunday Times ad in the late 90s, because that was part.
That's how you got jobs then.
That's how you got jobs then. You didn't have clever companies like Robson Sumner then. You sort of basically had to look at the classifieds and look at the papers. For a company who was a startup doing Cisco training, and I couldn't spell the word Cisco, didn't even know him at the time. Met the actual co-founder and co-owner, ex-Cisco himself. He had this great vision of what he wanted to do with his business. And we got on, Tony and I got on really well, and I suddenly jumped from this big global vendor to a small little startup of about 20 people in Marlow in Buckinghamshire, and unbelievable transition. I can remember at one point when I first joined, I said to him, I need some pictures put up around the sort of the meeting room and stuff like that, because I want to get some. I went in as their sales and marketing director. I wanted to brand the place a little bit better, and how do you do that? And when I worked for Phillips, we had a whole division that was responsible
dedicated to doing it,
plant maintenance, and they said, well, bring in a drill and a screw and some raw plugs, some more Andy, you do it yourself. And I'm thinking, wow, this is different. But yeah.
What about the security for your family? Were you worried about the security, like going from a vendor where it's a large vendor, a lot of security there, but going for a startup, quite risky at that age?
Yeah, and Mark, I'd love to say I'm responsible and thought about that. I didn't. I guess I was young. You know, I'd had a really successful career with the Phillips Group, and I just went because I liked the idea, you know, and thinking, yeah, it'll work, or I'll make it work, or I'll worry about it another day. So now a lot wiser. I think about it a lot more carefully because it did work out. But yes, you're quite right. Giving up a solid career when you've been with, and I was with the Phillips Group, you know, if I include the years they sponsored me at university for 14 years. Good reputation, great opportunities, decided to walk away from it, going into the unknown, into a small little 20-man company. You know,
and what was the opportunity? Why was it that opportunity that really ticked the boxes? Because, you know, risky startup, but why was it Cisco training? What was that of interest for you for? It's completely different from electronics.
Well, it was still in the IT industry because Cisco then were in the early days of them being what they've now become like the internet work and plumbers of the world, yeah. But they were a lot smaller, yeah, than they are now, and no one knew if that, you know, their solutions were going to work, yeah.
Yeah.
However, they were at the forefront of bringing routing and switch to the market. So I liked the fact it was still IT related. So I never lost my love of IT, yeah, or electronics. I always wanted to be associated to that. So I would never be good in fashion or fast moving consumer goods or anything, yeah. But I didn't want to be an engineer, but I still wanted to be associated to IT. So that was one attraction. The main attraction, the CEO and I just got on. I just liked his crazy blue sky research, entrepreneurialism. You know, he was a breakaway startup from the Cisco group, building now what would become a Cisco learning partner. You know, one of the few at the time, to bring education solutions around that the Cisco's group's technology to the market. So it was related to IT. And the CEO and I got on really well.
Yeah, because they often say, don't they? The most important decisions you make is picking a boss because he'll give you the opportunities to develop yourself. Do you think that? Do you go along with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been lucky enough in my career, Mark, that I've worked with some great bosses who taught me a lot, especially in the early part of my career. I've also worked with some awful bosses who equally taught me as much, yeah, but I would never want to work with them again, or that type of person, yeah. They taught me how not to do it, yeah, or, yeah.
So both have taught you great lessons?
Both have taught me great lessons, but the ones to work for are the ones where you've got that sync, you've got that chemistry, you know, the two of you can really bounce off each other, challenge each other, and sometimes disagree, but always, yeah, have the respect that it's going to work, yeah. And I'd say to anyone who's moving on in their career, you know, make certain, very hard to do at interview stage because it is a game, but make certain you feel comfortable, of the company culture, but also the person you're reporting to in terms of how you can see yourself working with them and for them.
How would you give advice to people that, I think, great advice there to sort of get those sort of tips in terms of getting the culture and the boss. When you're at interview stage, which is difficult,
yeah.
How would you give people advice to actually get a good idea of the culture and the boss and how they're going to manage you, etc.? How should people get out of that?
Yeah, I've spent my life interviewing people, and the ones I love are the ones who come prepared with some really good questions, not the rehearsed questions, but just they want to know about the company, and they might want to know a little bit about the culture of the company, not just the standard ones about turnover or stuff that is
the standard questions.
The standard questions, or questions like how has someone succeeded here and where did they move on to and stuff like that. And I love those questions because one, the good candidates, in the sense that they're
they've thought about it,
and they really are thinking, do I want to work here? Not do you want to employ me? Do I want to work here? And then what you can do as a candidate, from the responses you get, you get a good impression because you've caught them off guard a little bit in terms of they've got to answer pretty much around stuff that they wouldn't normally have thought about. Oh, you're going to ask us about our go-to-market, rehearse, dead easy for an MD or sales director to do, but ask them about, well, who's been your most successful salesperson, why, and where have they gone on to, and where are they now? It gives you a little bit about how you're going to be managed, but also a little bit about, well, what's the environment here? Is it an empowered environment, or am I going to be micromanaged? And the one advice I always say to candidates, and very, very few candidates ever do, at the interview, first, but definitely second, but first if you can, get them to walk you around. Yeah, get them to show you the office.
Yeah.
Go and look at people in the workplace and what's happening. Yeah, is it all quiet and stifly and no one's talking to each other, or is there camaraderie? Is there a buzz about the place, a vibe? You know, and each to their own. You know, some people most probably would like a more static, quieter environment. But if you want to work in a very vibrant environment and you walk around an office, complex on your first interview and that's not there, don't go back for the second.
Yeah. Because I think when I give advice to candidates all the time, I say, you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you.
Absolutely.
So you should be going with not the standard questions, the actual getting under the bonnet of the company. So asking about the culture, asking about who's been successful, why they've been successful, promotion opportunities, etc. Not just saying, what's the turnover and what's the hours and how long do I get for lunch, etc.
Absolutely. And that's the best advice I can give someone at interview stage. And I do recognise it is a game, both for the candidate and the employer. But if you can break it down and make it a more comfortable conversation and an exploratory discussion about, should I work here and do I want to employ you? Get to that stage as quick as you can, and then you'll know everything you need to know. Walk away, and if the two of you are really happy, you hopefully have got a good match.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So let's carry on with your career a bit. So after the Cisco training partner, where did you go then?
Well, for the last 20 years, I've spent my life in IT training because I fell in love with it. I like the idea that we were helping the world. Everyone talks about skill shortage, and possibly at the end of the 90s, we didn't really appreciate how big the skill shortage was in IT, and now it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and how badly we've addressed it, even though recruitment company like yours are trying to do so, and companies like mine is upskilling or skilling people to try and address it. It's just got exponentially wider. Didn't realise at the time when I started on this journey, because I come from a black box and I sold black boxes, that I was now selling skill and services, what it was all about. But I fell in love with it. I love the idea that I was selling something to people that develop the individuals and help the business. I wasn't selling double glazing to someone who already had windows. I was selling something that I felt, I love this. I love the product I'm selling. I'm actually making a difference, and either the company's going to progress or the individual's going to progress. So I stayed with it. 20 years on, I'm still selling IT, education and skills and coaching services.
So how did you get your first? Was Fastlane your first MD job? How did you get that?
No. I worked with. I helped sell the business I first joined. So part of the strategy when I joined was that they were looking for an exit. So that was, it's like grow it fast and then we want to walk away. Right. And that's what I mean about entrepreneurial. And that's why I liked Tony, the CEO at the time. He was quite open and said, "We've got a great opportunity. Come in, Andy, drive sales and marketing hard with us 3 years, and then we're looking to exit and we'll sell and whatever," which was pretty cool. Worked with the company we sold it to. They actually then got acquired by a bigger global company. Worked for them, and then 12 years ago now, I started with Fastlane. All my 3 previous companies, I was the commercial director, sales and marketing, and I got to know key people around the industry, and I got asked to come in and head up Fastlane. So my first MD role was 12 years ago with Fastlane.
And what was the big difference between being a commercial director at one company and being the MD at your first gig?
Good question. I would say the best role in a company is sales, for 75% of the time, 75% of the time when it's going well, and the worst role in a company is sales when it's not, because the pressure, you're under the microscope all the time, and when the sales are not there, effectively it's the worst place to be. But the best place to be when it's going well. When you become MD, you sacrifice that exciting world of sales, if that's what gives you the buzz, to have to then look after IT, finance, operations, the back office, and all the people associated to that, and all the challenges, whether it's to do with the facility, whatever. So I'm not saying it's boring, it's a great challenge as well, but give me the chance to go out and meet a client or talk about how we have to sort of manage some facility management issue. I know which one I'd choose every day, but with the MD role, everything's equal. So you suddenly become less commercial, and you suddenly get trapped in a lot more of the running of the business. And obviously then you become totally accountable for the P&L and everything associated to it, and the cash flow and the balance sheet. Yeah, so you spend more and more time, possibly, on those issues, and then you spend more and more time presenting to the board, the results and the strategy. So yeah, different demands. But
so how much of your time is actual selling now? Is it still a large chunk of it, or?
Yeah, I try to make certain half my time is in a sales type of role. Either that, talking to vendors about how we can support them in terms of what their strategy is or their go-to-market and how we can bring services with them, or working with my sales team in terms of big clients or solutions they're working on. And I guess partly it's because of my background that I love sales too much, but I also carry a quota, even though I'm the MD.
Really? You still?
Yeah, because I believe in leading by example. So I'll even do my own deals, and I'm doing some deals right now with some universities here in the UK that I love. So actually, it's true account management, or BDM. Yeah, I'm still actually selling myself. And I like that because I think you get more respect from your salespeople if the MD is also facing the challenges they do on working on deals and the sales cycle, and then having to get those solutions executed on. So and it gives me a good insight into my own business when it's my deal that operations have to fulfill or give me some costings or responses on in a quick time. Yeah.
You touched on it earlier about going from selling boxes to sort of selling services and solutions. Do you think there is sort of different types of salespeople that should be doing those jobs, or do you think you can transition from either or?
Oh, excellent question. Definitely a different sales approach, and I would say definitely suits certain people. The fees and speeds, black box features, product selling, suits certain people. Services is completely different. Can you transition? You can,
Okay.
But if you've spent your career in the product sales, don't underestimate the transition, because suddenly you can't just show a tangible black box product feature, whatever. You've almost sort of like got a blank sheet of paper and you have to create a vision, and then you have to show an ROI, which in terms of sort of what that service can do, and it's not all tangible. So it's a different type of sale, and I say the biggest difference is relationship.
Do you need better relationships for the solution selling or the product selling?
Without question, you have got to, in services, you have got to be a trusted advisor, and you've got to have a great relationship with your client so that your client respects you in the sense that you are helping their business, by providing a service that they can then plan that in a year from now or 2 years from now, we should be, better equipped to do X, Y, Z, not a transactional sell, where if I invest in this black box, that'll achieve, whatever it does, So to me, it is all about relationship. You've got to know your product set, and you've obviously got to go through a sales cycle and all the normal parts of that, but the relationship is absolutely key.
If you were giving advice to someone who's just getting in the industry, or they've been in one of those they've either been in solution sales or they've been in product sales, where do you think they should start? Should they start selling tin or shifting boxes, or should they try and get into solution selling because they're good relationship builders?
I'd say it's a little bit bad analogy. It's a bit like driving an automatic car or a manual car. Yes, you can go and learn to drive an automatic car. But you must probably never then learn to drive a manual car. So learn a manual and then move to automatic, I think a good grounding is, funny enough, going into product.
Right.
Because it's hard, and you're going to start at the bottom. You're going to do maybe a lot of telesales type of work. You're going to get lots of rejection. You're going to do it from maybe an internal phone base. And the reason I say that is if you can't handle that, drop out of sales. It gets harder. Because it gets harder. So, absolutely, Marc. If you can't handle your first 2 or 3 years in that sort of hard product telesales type environment with the pressure on, and you maybe 8 out of 10 calls are going to end in a rejection at some point, then don't do sales. Go and do something better with your life. If you get through that, build on your career and then move into a more external field sales type of role, get into relationship building, and then you'll be unbelievably well equipped to start going into services. And I think someone who came to me with that type of background is much more attractive than someone who kids themselves that I haven't done the grunt work, as I would call it, at the earliest part of my career, and I'm studying now the best services relationship builder salesperson on the planet.
When you're interviewing candidates, again, you touched on it earlier, what do you actually look for from their CVs? Is there something specific you're looking for from their CVs, whether they've done telesales work or product sales work or their achievements? What sort of stands out for you if you're giving advice to candidates?
Yeah, I'm... Well, you've recruited me for a number of years, so you must have gathered this by now. I'm not a very traditional interviewer. So I have no structure to my interviews whatsoever. I look at a CV. I look a little bit in terms of relevant experience. I look at their interests. I look at what I think immediately from where they are and where they've been last couple of roles, what they could bring to the business, and then I just go in with an open mind, wanting to talk to them. And my interviews, and my HR manager no longer interviews with me because she goes, Andy, you're a nightmare. Because instead of going for a structured approach, you'll just go off on a tangent, and you might talk about their personal interests, or you might talk about what they did yesterday or 10 years ago. And I guess what I'm doing, Mark, is I'm just trying to build up a picture of this person. Can I see this person working in my business with my team and me? And would they be a good asset to have? And that's all I'm really interested in. I'm not. It's a case of attitude first. Then talent, then ability. But always attitude first. And it's the attitude I'm looking for, and also the show me some talent. Because if you've got ability, you're one of many. And to be honest, I can build upon your ability. What I can't build upon is your attitude. Your attitude, by the time you're later in life, that's formed, through your experiences or whatever, and that's the bit what I'm most interested in, because it's the attitude that makes it work.
How do you get that out of them? When you're interviewing them, how are you getting their attitude out?
Just talk to them.
Literally just conversations.
Talk. Hence why I don't believe, and I hate, and sometimes I do second interview with my staff, and they still do structured questions. They've got it written down why, and they've got all the standard questions which are all well rehearsed. I'm not saying they do
competency-based stuff.
I'm not saying they do. Tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. And stuff like that. It's not quite that bad, but it's well rehearsed. If they go for a good recruitment agency, they'll definitely equip them how to do it. And anyone who's been to a few interviews and played the interview game will learn very quickly how to get through those standard questions. But at the end of it, they've answered the same questions. You do not know the person you're recruiting. What I'm more interested in is just having a chat, and it might even be a chat about the first 5 minutes, about the waited in reception. What do they think to the coffee machine, and what I experienced? Do you know what I mean? Some random stuff, or they got caught in traffic, and I just want to get to know them, and what comes across quite quickly, if you do it in a very conversationalist type of way, you get past that game point. They let the barriers down. They forget they're at interview.
You're seeing the real them.
They just chat. They just chat like you met in a pub. And suddenly you've got to the point now, great, now I'm talking to the real person. Now I'm getting a real feel. Let's keep that going. Let's keep it real sort of low key. And after 45 minutes, an hour, I've got to know you. And either, you like me, I like you, or we don't.
Have you ever employed anyone you don't like? Because you talked about there about conversations with candidates, and that's relationship building skills. And if you think they've got the likability factor, that's normally halfway there for someone, isn't it? If they've got likability factor, they've got a bit of talent. Have you ever employed anyone you don't like? You have to name names, by the way.
No. Sadly, I have, but not for my direct team.
Right.
I've attended second interviews. For candidates who are liked by the manager they've got to report to. And I've, at the end of it, recommended we don't recruit.
Really?
But I'm not a maverick or closed shop. If the other person says, no, I want them in my team, I think I can do something with this person, I let them do it. I personally doubt it's a good recruit, but I will allow or empower the individual to make that mistake or prove me wrong.
Prove you wrong,
Yeah, and most times they make the mistake. But sometimes they prove me wrong, and someone's turned out to be brilliant, and I would have rejected them, because I didn't see what I wanted to see. But other people are looking for different things, and if you're going to give a line manager responsibility for a P&L or budget or an activity, you have got to allow them to build their own team. The only bit I do insist upon is we don't destroy the company culture.
Yeah.
We never bring someone in who's possibly a maverick to the point where they're not going to fit it in the team. That's the only time I would put my foot down and go, no, definitely not. But even though they might not be my first choice, and I wouldn't recommend you take them on board, if they still fulfill, I can see them fitting into the overall culture of the company.
I think that's really important, because I hear that a lot. There could be a top salesman this or top salesman that, but they're so toxic to the culture. And to me, culture eats strategy for breakfast, or even talent for breakfast.
Absolutely.
So I think that's very important to make sure that they don't affect the culture, and for them as well. Because if they come in and actually they don't fit the culture, they're not going to enjoy it there anyway, are they?
Totally right, Mark. Totally right. And that's where I go back to attitude first. Talent and ability in that order, second and third, because. Yes, on paper, they could be the top salesperson. Yes, they could have won award after award at the previous company. But that culture of that company fitted them and it worked, If that's not your company culture, don't kid yourself that you can get that person to thrive to the same degree in a different culture. Because one, you're quite right, they won't thrive and they'll hate it and will probably leave anyway. Or, if you're really unlucky, they'll create so many problems for you, it'll distract you from a winning team that you possibly had to try and keep the status quo with that person. So always make certain they're a culture fit.
Yeah, I've made that mistake myself, trying to thinking this individual's talented. They might not quite fit the culture, but I'll bring him in, and I've been proved wrong very quickly. So now, luckily, I don't do the interviews now. I actually let Callum do that. But I agree with you. The number one, if they don't fit the culture, they're not coming in the door anyway. So there's no point going on. A hot topic, Andy, at the moment, or it should be a hot topic because it's not happening enough, is training.
Yep.
Obviously, you're very well positioned to give us your advice on training. Now, I'm not talking technical training, because I think, in my opinion, that's more getting accreditations, etc. But sales training in our industry, right from the vendors, right down to the resellers and distribution, I think it's really, really poor. I don't see lots of sales training happening. And sometimes you'll get a newbie and they'll give them a few sales training, and they'll get like a barbershop mentality. They'll give them the desk, the chair, they might give them a week's training, and then they get on with it. But even for experienced people that have been there 2 or 3 years, there's no training going on at hardly any companies. So what's your view now? Why do you think that is?
I tend to agree with you. I look back over the last sort of 30 years of my career, and I would say we have a legacy in terms of the salespeople in the IT industry, because wrongly in the early days, we taught them product features and product selling, All they needed to know was every speed, feed, every part of the product feature, and once you've got that, that's all how they sold. It was either faster, better, took more capacity, whatever. And then the world's moved on, but IT companies tend to still treat their people in the same way. They don't give them the softer part of sales training, because they still expect someone who comes from that background or been trained that way will just adapt. The good news is I've seen more and more investment from vendors and from end clients and from channel partners in the last 3 or 4 years.
Really?
In transforming their sales teams, and I think
that's great.
And I'll tell you what I think the evolution is. I think the days of selling tin, we'll still sell tin, but it's not the prime and be all now. It's now much more about services. If I take what's happening when we move from on-prem to cloud, and if you look at this $1 trillion industry that we're only doing a few billion in, for the next 4 years, the hottest thing in the IT of evolution, it's modern IT, and I think everyone now, no one in the industry would dispute, the cloud journey has begun.
The digital transformation, that's it.
And the digital transformation is here to stay, and will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. I think a lot of companies have to transition their business and bring their people with them. And to do that, they've got good guys who've been good and loyal in the legacy days that they've now got to reskill. And a lot of what my company does is upskilling, not just technically, but in the sales space as well. Let me tell you about a program. I haven't launched it in the UK yet. I'm nicking it from my sister company in America. And it's a business transformation for partners, for channel partners. And what we're doing is and we're working with a major IT vendor on this. We're going to bring a 6-week program for partner salespeople to spend 2 weeks going through some technical training, understanding the modern IT world and the challenges, say, of cloud. Then 2 weeks of soft skills. How to do sort of more services type of selling. And relationship building. And then 2 weeks of evaluation, case study, project work, and evaluating that. Hopefully, after 6 weeks, we've taken this individual from their, let's call them old sales habits, or maybe their current sales position, to be better equipped to then go and sell in the modern world where services is much more important.
Do you think that's a cost issue in companies? Because that 6 week training program for experienced salespeople, it sounds a lot of money for people to do. Do you think there's a cost issue why people might be reluctant to do that?
I think if I speak for the UK, I think you're right. I think in the UK, we do have sort of like this ethos that the first saving often will be training. Let's kid ourselves when we set the budget at the beginning of the fiscal, and we'll allocate X amount to it. But as the fiscal goes on, training will be the first to cut. I work with my German and my DAC region and my German, Austrian, Switzerland team quite a lot. Totally different approach. Their attitude is learning does not stop when you come out of university. It starts, you're on your apprenticeship. Not an official apprenticeship program as we know them here in the UK, but you're on an apprenticeship for the rest of your career, and they will do continual training and invest all the time. And it's almost like their mentality is that, yes, you've got a degree, yes, you might get through certifications in the early part of your degree around, say, technology, but it continues. And they're willing, and we're talking like some of the big German clients here in the automobile industry, for example, or the financial sector, it's ongoing. They'll continue want to invest. I do think we have a challenge here in the UK that a lot of our companies, sadly, don't see it that way. They think, once you come out of university with your degree, you're the bee's knees, and
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we've got that? Because I've got a view on it myself that in the UK, we don't seem to value salespeople. We don't see it as a profession. It's almost like it's the one job you do when you couldn't do something else, and everyone sort of seems to fall into it. And then, but they don't see it as a profession, so they don't seem to get training or accreditations or any investment into it. Some companies are doing it really well. I know channel partners are doing it really well. Some vendors are doing it, but there's still lots of companies that are going, right, well, you've been in sales a year. You obviously know what you're doing. Get on with it.
I agree.
Why do you think that is?
I agree. I don't know. Well, I think you've touched upon it. It's possibly one of those areas, where in the old days, if you could wing it and you had a great personality, in ad-lib for England and talk for England, you ended up in sales. And that was probably the
gift of the gab sort of thing.
Gift of the gab. And you were qualified. That was your accreditation. Notice you can sell ice to the Eskimos. And
in those days, you probably could. You could get away with it if you had a very strong personality. You're a bit of a natural rapport builder. Give them a bit of day's product training. Get on with it.
Exactly.
But those days are gone now, aren't they? Really, there's got to be more credibility.
But what we haven't done is we haven't made it, a profession like we should have done. In the technical world, you can have certification after certification, badge after badge, accreditation. You can have it on your CV, all these sort of certification tracks that you've completed, and that it speaks volume of your technical capability. Whether that's in security or data center or cloud.
And your personality doesn't come into it then, does it? When you've got those technical capabilities, can he do Java? He's got the job. It could be regardless of his personality. In sales, you're just going on personality sometimes.
And we don't have the corresponding certification tracks
to back up
in there. And even the institutes and the further education, higher education colleges in the country, don't equip that. And the continuum part of it isn't there. It's almost natural in a technical environment. You have to recertify every year, and because the technology moves on so fast, and you want to get that badge, and the people themselves want to have that badge. Well, salespeople, I think they just live off the last deal and move on to the next. And training almost becomes like, I haven't got time for that. I've got my quota this month to meet. and I've got a sales pipeline to build, and it worked yesterday. I'll continue using what I did then for tomorrow.
Yeah, because we're getting a lot of grads come out of university to us and say, I want to go into IT sales. Why do you want to go into it? Just want to earn a load of money. I've heard that's where all the money is. and there's no due diligence of what they're actually going to do, or there's no due diligence or any self-learning or investment from them. They're just thinking, let's just go into it, and hopefully that's where all the money is. And I think there's a big lacking there, because there's people going into jobs and then they're suddenly getting sacked after 6-8 months because they can't get through to anyone. So what advice would you give to companies who are maybe even taking on young grads, etc., if they're going to try and invest in training or developing of people?
Well, I mean thankfully, there are. I think we're better equipped now. I mean, we're no longer, people are. In my day, you either left school and went to work, or you left school and went to university. And there was nothing in between. One of the things I think is absolutely brilliant that the UK have done and do more and more of is they brought back apprenticeships and proper professional apprenticeships. So you could now, from a sales career, start your career in an apprenticeship environment with a company that has that apprenticeship, and hopefully also have their own sales academies internally that a lot more are now having. And you will get, in the early days when it matters most, you will get some good, coaching, either mentoring from those who've been there and done it, or put through some training in a structured way, rather than just being told, there's the phone, start making some calls, dive in the deep end. So I think there are signs where it's getting better, and if I was one of those people, I'd look for those jobs where I felt that I'm getting invested in. I'm getting invested in my first 2 or 3 years with this company. They recognise that I might come out. I might have the right personality. I might have a burning desire to go into sales. And most people go into sales at that age. It's money, because that's where the big money is. And they hear all the stories about how people, very quickly have made lots of money, and they start driving flash cars at a very young age. But they forget about it. There's a lot of hard graft, and there is a science to it as well as an art that they've got to master in a high pressured environment, because they're under the spotlight on day one. If I'm rude, if you worked in finance or worked in operations, you can hide for a little while before someone realises whether you're any good or not, because you don't have to report your sales number every week, every month, and measured on it. In sales, you're under pressure. Constantly. So don't kid yourself. No matter how good you are from a personality point of view, you're just going to be natural at it. Get a company to invest in you and show you that we're going to help you. We're going to expect results, but we have got a program, even if it's mentoring, because I'm a real believer in mentoring. Spend time with the people who've been there and done it. Learn from their mistakes, or learn from what they do well, or see if you can adapt their style or whatever. But get a commit from the company that they're willing to do that, as opposed to, here's the phone, get on with it. And by the way, you need to hit your number this week.
So we talked about the core skills of relationship building skills, because that's a good barometer to be successful in sales potentially. What if you're doing net new sales? So you can't be a relationship builder unless you've got a relationship to start. Now I get a lot of people come into us. In fact, I get most people coming into us and say, I'm a great account manager. I only want account management. Right. You don't want to do any cold calling. You don't want to do anything net new. No, if you give me the relationship, I'll be the perfect salesperson. Now, obviously, you've got to get a customer before you get a relationship. Where are you seeing in the market at the moment for maybe Fast, and how do you get new customers, and what advice would you give to people trying to do that?
So funny enough, I very rarely recruit a farmer.
Really?
Very rarely, because I think farmers are good, and if you've got a loyal client and you want to penetrate that client, build the relationship, and go and farm it, but after that, and if the client moves away for whatever reason, or things change, I might not have another account I can let you just farm. I want a hunter. And I think if you recruit salespeople who are hunters, they can naturally be farmers, but if you recruit a farmer, they can't become hunters, from my experience, and the hunters are the ones that drive a business. If you get good BDMs who can tenaciously find new opportunities, be creative, knock down doors, be resilient, and find those new clients and new relationship, they're absolute stars all the time, And if later on, they've got such a great relationship with that client, you can never take them off, and it becomes a farm opportunity, let them farm it. Yeah, don't change the relationship. That's too important. Yeah.
You're still looking for those natural skills. They can hunt their own.
But they'll hunt maybe even within the farming for maybe another division or something hunt for it or whatever. So my advice to any person recruiting, go for the hunter BDMs first, because they naturally can become farmers. Or except if you've got a farmer, they're always going to be a farmer.
Yeah. In terms of actually the skills to do new business now, so I've asked this for most people when they've come on the show about the methods to do sort of new business, whether it's old school methods of cold calling or door knocking or walking around and knocking down doors, or new school methods of social selling, LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, etc., content marketing. What's your view on it? Is it a combination of both, or do you think there's new tools now to do the job?
I think there's new tools now. I think there's a lot of legislation with GDPR, so you can't just use telemarketing or blanket marketing and wait for the phone to ring because they read a mail shot or whatever to the masses. I think the days of cold calling are a mug's game in a way. Yes, you'll be lucky occasionally, but we've got better tools now. When you and I possibly started our careers, we only had a telephone. We didn't have a social media platforms everywhere. We didn't have apps on our phones. We didn't have LinkedIn and all this sort of social selling opportunity. So technology itself has made the salesperson have to move on, because if you haven't, your competitors will. And you can build better. You can simple use of LinkedIn. Before you even pick the phone up, you should know every single thing about that person, to the point where everything. You should know enough, that you can build a relationship quicker because you've taken time. You looked at their career, or you've linked in with them, or even better, got a referral from someone who knows them, who happens to be in your second or third contacts, who can say, "Can you introduce me?" Because they're going to talk to you. I bet I could. Get to speak to you if I didn't know you, Marc. If someone's recommended, Marc, please talk to Andy. I think his company could be of service. And that might be because I know someone else in my LinkedIn profile who has a connection with you. So all this social selling, which crikey, when I first started.
Non-existent, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying there wasn't computers, but there was not computers, and platforms like we've got now. You'd be crazy not to take advantage of it. And I think also now there's an expectation that you would have done your background, or you would link in a different LinkedIn. You would connect in a different way, and not just by LinkedIn, but any type of sort of platform, or offence. So I think it's much more personalised selling now. And my company, we spend a lot of time sponsoring with the IT vendors we work with events, just for networking. And it's a case that I can get myself or my people in front of others, and we talk, and then we build a relationship from there. We do a bit of research afterwards and follow up, rather than just cold call in and speculate.
Yeah, because obviously I know recently you went to the Microsoft Inspire event in Vegas, and that's an opportunity where we can actually meet these people face to face. Do you think that's critical, still meeting your customers face to face?
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, you can do it virtually. So when I say face to face, yes, you can have great video conferencing type of calls, but no substitute for actually being able to, for a short period of time, shake hands, talk openly. And discuss, opportunity and explore opportunities, and build that rapport, And then if you're lucky, you'll follow up with another face-to-face meeting. I'm a firm believer in relationship selling, and I don't think you can relationship sell until you actually sit in front of someone and get to know them properly, and hopefully know a little bit about them personally, about their family or their love, whether they like football or cricket, and have almost build up a sort of friendship of rapport rather than being a distant person. What the ideal client I have, is the one I don't have to sell to, and I say this to my salespeople all the time, you have cracked it when you don't have to sell to the client. When the client rings you up because they respect you enough to say, "Hey, Adam, could you help me now? I think we've got a need here. Yeah, I think you guys can do. I said, you cracked it, because you've got that level of respect and trust with them now. They'll come to you. Yeah. That's what you've got to try and aim for, and that's what I try and aim for when I'm selling.
Before you get to that point, you touched it earlier with like using LinkedIn. How do you think the best way is to get through to have that initial meeting or that initial contact to get that new customer? So do you think it's, it should be referrals? That would be your tip?
Always go for a referral.
Do you always ask for referrals from your customers?
Yeah.
And you train your sales guys?
And by the way, that is a missed trick that a lot of salespeople miss, yeah? If you've done a great job for your client, and you've got that level of trust and respect, I promise you, they will not hesitate about giving you referrals, and they'd like to, in a way, it's a little bit like, okay, now we've done X, Y, Z for you, appreciate, that's been of great value. Who else, do you know who perhaps we could provide the same service to? You'll be amazed just by asking. Do
you think you need? Because I think you're right. I think you do need to ask, because I think most people, if you're doing a good job for them, would like to help. But it's not natural for them to say, actually, by the way, Joe blogs, because it's work for them, isn't it? They've actually got to introduce someone or send an email or log someone in, etc. But I think people miss a trick. They actually don't even ask, and they don't even ask their good customers.
You are spot on.
Why do you think that is? Why do they do that?
It's human nature. It's a little bit like they naively think, because if I've done a great job for Marc, I just naively think you'll tell everyone you know about it. And you don't. You've got your own life and other priorities, and
I'm thinking of my own work, aren't I?
Yeah. You're working in your It's like job's done. Yeah, they did great service. I paid the bill. Happy days. I'll go back to the game if I need any more. Yeah. You're not naturally then going to go and socialise that to everyone and anyone. Yeah. Unless I came to you, Marc, and said, Marc, we did that project for you. Yeah. Who else are you talking to, or in your network who you feel might be to value it to the same degree? Yeah. And then, because you then feel, I'm a good Samaritan, I'm doing something good, and I play to your ego a bit in the sense I've asked you, you'll naturally do it. You'll either give me the names, or better still, you'll go, do you know what, at the end of the day, when I get a chance, I'll connect you on email, I'll just ping something across, and then and superb.
And it's the best intro, isn't it? When you've been recommended by someone else, and they actually want to talk to you then, isn't it? So no, I couldn't agree more. That's sort of really good advice from someone. So my couple of last questions before we close the podcast. What's the one thing you'd change about our industry if you could, if anything?
Oh, cool. One thing. I honestly believe our industry, and I've been doing the skilling side of things and the education side of things for 20 years. I feel saddened that the skills shortage we faced at the millennia, when we came into this century in 2000, we've not addressed, and we'll let it get worse.
It's getting worse as well.
And it's getting worse, and we're not bringing enough good new blood into it. And the blood we've got in it is being churned, and it's costing more on OPEX, because obviously they demand higher and higher salaries. We've now got the challenge, as this next wave of generation of IT comes about, that even the old skills, if you're an infrastructure engineer, that's not tomorrow, that's on-prem. You've now got to retrain the current people into the new world,
Which is frightening for them, isn't it, as well? They don't want to be retrained in some ways. They're thinking, God, do I actually want to do this?
So we are here now, faced with this, in the IT industry, massive opportunity. We have trillions of dollars, And the inhibitor, in my opinion, will not be the selling of it, will not be the adoption of it by the end clients or the end users, because all this technology will change the way you and I work and play. The inhibitor will be the skills to bring it to market, because somehow we've got this wrong, and this is international, this is not just UK. Internationally, we've got this wrong. We have just not addressed it in our schools, our universities, or post graduation or post apprenticeship or whatever, of attracting new blood in, or reskilling and upskilling the blood we've currently got, and
it's a big
I
problem.
find it sad. I've spent 20 years of my career now trying to address a problem that I've made worse.
Well done.
Unbelievable. Congratulations.
So, Andy, look, I really appreciate your time today. One final question I've got for you to end the podcast. What is the one bit of advice you'd give to someone, either a contributor, someone getting into sales, or a sales manager who wants to make a name for ourselves in our industry?
Yeah. If a sales manager in our industry, daunting task, because sales management is a tough job. So therefore, don't do this alone. Build a winning team. Yeah, get quality people early on that you want to work with and work with them. I think you know, I have some salespeople who work with me the best part of 20 years now. Yeah, I love working with them. Yeah, they work for me. We get great results. Yeah, the one thing as a sales manager I do not want to do is keep risking bringing new blood in all the time. Yeah, because the old blood didn't work. Yeah, so nurture and protect and develop your team of salespeople and keep them loyal and keep them with you. Yeah, would be my advice, because the cost to recruit, reinvest and develop is horrendous. It's a hard game. Yeah, so any good sales manager, if you take that advice, you can't go wrong, in my opinion.
Great, Andy, you've been a fantastic guest. That's the end of the show. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it, Mark. Thanks
Cheers.
a lot.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us and listening to another episode of our Channel Chat podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard and are listening on iTunes, please could you give us a review and subscribe in order to get the newest episodes as soon as they're released. Otherwise, as always, we release an episode every Thursday at midday, so hopefully you can join us then.